You want to know about the Columbia Gardens? Okay. I've got a lot of vivid memories of the Columbia Gardens, but I think my most vivid ones are when my family used to go to the Columbia Gardens. We went there a lot on Sundays, and we went there a lot in the evenings for an evening picnic with other members of my mom and dad's family. But I remember coming up Montgomery Street and coming, turning the corner by the gardens through all the trees, and all of a sudden everything was nice and green, and the sky always seemed to be blue, and it looked so pretty all the time. And we usually always parked in the upper parking lot up at the gardens, up by where the ball fields were, and it seemed like after we parked, we always stopped at the restroom, and I think our folks did that for a reason. And I remember the silver-colored bathrooms that were there, and they were they were kind of cool, and they were kind of damp, and the water that was inside those buildings was so cold, and the water in the drinking fountains was so pure and so cold and so clean that there are things that you just remember. And then I remember after leaving the restroom, we'd always head towards all the swings and the merry-go-rounds and whatever was open. And you had to wait your turn sometimes to get on the merry-go-round, and you had to wait your turn on the swings. And the cowboy swings are always full, so it was always a treat to get you'd always go in a pair, so you'd have one on either side of the cowboy swings when you'd start to use them. And that was always good. It seemed like you always paired up with somebody to get somebody good and strong so you could really get up in the air on the cowboy swings. Cowboy swings were really big. And the slides that were there were terrific. You know, they had big metal slides for the older kids. You know, when you're younger, they had some littler ones, but everybody wanted the big ones. And God, they were 12 feet tall. And I remember the one had a canopy on the top to keep it from getting too warm. And it also had kind of a bump on the top there. When you came on, you kind of got a little rise when you went on to give you a little more speed. And I remember when you got to the bottom of the slide, if you were there the first part of the day, the piles of sawdust that were at the end of the slides that were there. It seemed like the company had access to sawdust all the time, and all the pits at the bottom of the slides and around the merry-go-round and stuff were always just full of fresh sawdust. And you could smell that, and you'd end up tasting it, because a lot of times you get it in your mouth. And it was a pretty neat feeling.